on the North Shore. They've got a great network down at the Skywarn Spotter Network, and the North Shore spotters they do an amazing job. They call into us all the time. They call into the Skywarn Spotter Network all the time. But a trained spotter in Peabody and in Beverly was seeing some rotation, large-scale rotation. What we call that is a mesocyclone. Okay, I know it sounds complicated, and this is just a little tutorial here. But what you get is when you get that strong updraft and a strong downdraft, and if you have a little rotation in the atmosphere in the horizontal, okay, those two strong features, the updraft and downdraft, can turn that rotation in the horizontal into the vertical like this, okay? And that's what this trained spotter was seeing up in Peabody and in Beverly. All right, that trained spotter seeing the rotation in the bottom half of this thunderstorm here says to us, says to the National Weather Service, says to meteorologists that this thunderstorm, supercell, is capable at any point of releasing a smaller scale circulation. We call that a funnel cloud. And then if it touches the ground, we call it a tornado. And that's obviously what we don't want to have happen here. Okay, we have the chief from Ipswich on the phone, Paul. I'm sorry I didn't get your last name, Paul. But chief in Ipswich, you got a storm bearing down on you right now. I, at the very least, assume you're seeing some drenching rain up there. What else are you hearing? What else are you seeing, chief?
That is correct. We're in the middle of a severe downpour. I have been now for about 10 minutes. Yeah. Ironically, there's very little wind at this point, but in our communications with surrounding towns, Hamilton, Wenham, and Beverly, it seems like we're going to be due for some winds here any moment.
From any of your surrounding towns? Because I assume, you know, that you're monitoring the scanners, not only for your town, but the surrounding area. Have you heard any damage reports at all, Chief?
Right now, everything's so fluid, I have not heard any reports of it. But wind is picking up south of us or southwest of us, and we anticipate that the storms are going to track right over the top of us within the next 10 to 15 minutes.
Sure, sure. So you're seeing, once again, some torrential rain, and it reports of street flooding. And we've been in this pattern for a while here with these tropical and drenching downpours. Any issues with that yet, Chief?
Yeah, there's some local flooding due to storm water just can't keep up with itself, the drains. Nothing major at this point, although if this volume of rain continues, we'd expect to see a lot more and some local flooding in streams.
All right, Chief of Police from Ipswich, thank you so much. Stay safe, and we'll be in touch with you if we continue to hear some reports out of the area in Ipswich and surrounding towns like Hamilton and Wenham. Here's the storm. It's a dangerous-looking storm still. We just talked with the National Weather Service. There's still enough circulation where a tornado is possibly on the ground right now, or one is possibly forming. It's bearing down on Essex. Okay, here's Essex and Ipswich. This is Route 133, by the way. You know, this is a popular area for tourists. Great lobster shacks and clam shacks, and of course you got the beaches up here too. So this looks like it's heading right into Essex Center, and then it's going to go off into Gloucester and Rockport before getting out to sea. The warning on this cell is for another half an hour or so, up till about 3:45, I believe, is the warning on the cell. So it expires. There it is. Yes, at 3:45, the tornado warning. So it's right over Wenham right now. Here was the chief. He was up in Ipswich. He just talked to us, seeing the torrential rain, and yes, obviously there's torrential rain. But the core of the storm, where the circulation is, that a trained spotter in the North Shore Spotter Network down in Peabody and down in Beverly saw, would be down in here. So it's bearing down on Essex. There might be a little hail in here, too, that we're looking at. There hasn't been much hail, as Rob pointed out, and as you know, it's exceptionally warm outside, not only here for us at the surface, but also aloft, too. It's pretty warm. So the hail hasn't been a big story yet, but the wind has been, and there have been damage reports off to the west. Paula Evans at the news desk. Paula, what do you got?
So, Todd, so just to reiterate, moving here, northeast. So the tornado warnings from Middlesex, Worcester, Hillsborough, New Hampshire, those are canceled because it's moved out of that area now. So the main focus that you have is up near Danvers, Ipswich, the Cape Ann stretch. And you really think people should get inside, get down to the lowest possible area?
Absolutely. The cell that you're talking about where the tornado warning expired was a completely different storm, completely different cell. It's right in here. It looks like it's right. Actually, it's probably moving up through here, up into the Tingsboro area right now. It's weird. weakened so much it's hard to even find. But there's still some drenching rain up along 495 here, and then heading up Route 3 into Nashua, New Hampshire. So again, this is still a problem for the flooding rains and the street flooding and the temporary parking lot flooding, the flash flooding. But the other cell that developed while there was a warning on that one is this one right here in Essex County, and right now it's sitting right over Essex, okay, central Essex County, right over Essex, and it's going to head up into Ipswich and Essex and then move off into Gloucester and Rockport. It's moving to the east, northeast, just north of east. So it's not exactly going like this, okay? It's more going like this, and at 25 miles per hour. So in Essex momentarily, I mean, it's pouring in Essex right now. I'm sure there's a ton of lightning in Essex at the moment as well, and also the potential for some small hail. Looks like a little hail shaft is trying to get going here. The rotation with this would be right in here, okay? This is where the rotation is. So even though there's very heavy rain up over Cranes Beach and also up towards Plum Island and Newburyport, of course, there, Salisbury Beach too, very heavy rain. Not concerned that area for this circulation. The circulation will be right down in here, right over Essex. I mean, you got about 2 minutes in Essex to get down to the lowest level. At the moment, we don't know of any tornado on the ground, okay, but we need to assume that there is one because the rotation has been intense. We already have a report from a trained spotter back in Peabody and back in Danvers that the thunderstorm was rotating, and also the potential that a funnel cloud was trying to form.
Well, Todd, let's look. You know, we just got into the newsroom, this video from East Windsor, Connecticut. Yeah. So we're going to talk over it here. Now, take a look. What does that say to you?
Well, that's clearly a funnel cloud.
Yeah, that's a funnel cloud. And you were saying it can get right on top of you before you even realize it's coming.
Well, the problem with these storms today, and it's not in the case here, but a lot of them are seeing some of this torrential rain. You saw that with the one up near, up near Devens, Fort Devens, and up near Littleton, and back in through Air. It was pouring rain, so you wouldn't be able to see a funnel so much. Now, this looks like to me a funnel cloud. This is up near East Windsor, Connecticut, up near the Massachusetts border where Springfield is, right near Bradley International Airport. If you know that area, Bradley International Airport's about 20 minutes north of Hartford, Connecticut, and just a couple minutes south of Springfield. That area has had some dangerous weather throughout the afternoon. About an hour and a half ago, 2 tornado warnings went out for that area. That one there, and then there was another storm that came up through Springfield and Agawam, and there were countless reports of damage and debris, not only from shingles getting ripped off homes, but also a lot of debris on I-91 North between Hartford and Springfield. And that particular cell that we just showed you there, which clearly was a funnel and most likely a tornado that was touching the ground, clearly there was some damage and debris from that. So it looks like at the very least we had at least 1 tornado there and maybe 2 touchdowns earlier this afternoon. Let's see, okay, we've got a new report from the National Weather Service that just got kicked out at 3:12 this afternoon, so just a couple of minutes ago. The tornado warning again remains in effect until 3:45. Tornado warning remains in effect until 3:45. If anyone's listening, I need a battery so I can hear you guys in the control room. My battery died. Until 3:45 for central Essex County, this area right here. There's a trained weather spotter at 2:58. So about 15 minutes ago, a trained weather spotter reported a funnel cloud near Danvers. All right, a tornado may develop at any time. There could be one on the ground right now. This is a dangerous storm. It's located right now over Essex. We just mentioned that. Essex is bearing down on you right now, 5 miles to the northeast of Beverly and moving northeast at 25 miles per hour, and it's heading out through the rest of Cape Ann. Yeah, just chuck that battery over to me when you get a sec. Again, here's the cell right here. Here, just give me the battery, thanks.
You were saying the Skywarn spotter who had reported that, when you just confirmed that there was some rotation aloft in a cloud there. So you're saying what we've got here is a recipe for the potential of a funnel cloud forming at any moment, because now we've seen rotation in these various areas. Right?
Exactly, Paula. We don't have any report of a tornado on the ground. Let's get that straight. No report of a tornado on the ground. However, you saw the pictures there from northern parts of Connecticut. That was from earlier this afternoon. So we know that the atmosphere is capable of producing a tornado. And now we have evidence, and someone saw a funnel cloud trying to form back when this cell was over Peabody and over Danvers. So there's enough rotation in the atmosphere right now, and these storms, when they get healthy enough, when you get these strong updrafts and strong downdrafts, to kind of poke holes in this horizontal rotation and make it vertical, then you have the recipe, Paul, as you just mentioned, of the potential for a tornado to touch down. And we've already had at least one back in Connecticut and maybe another one back in Agawam, Massachusetts, near Springfield. So again, here's the situation. Tornado warning for this cell right here, which is located directly over Essex until 3:45, so about another half an hour, all right? And this is moving to the east-northeast, and it's going to head out over Ipswich Bay, also out through Essex, and then probably clipping the north side of Gloucester and Rockport, too, before getting out into the Atlantic. So, you know, here it is right here over Essex. We've got the circulation in here. This right here is Route 133, runs from Essex Center up through Ipswich Center. And, you know, you've got, this is a popular drag right here, a popular drag this time of the year with all of the tourists and locals that happen to be on vacation with this week because the kids are out of school. All right, it's 4th of July week. Again, that's at the end of the week, but most people take vacation this week, and this is where you want to go. You've got a great lobster shack up here, clam shacks, and great beaches. So this is a dangerous situation. If you know folks that are in this area, we're putting some of the routes on here for you. Again, 133 I mentioned runs up through Gloucester and Rockport and all the way up through Ipswich here. And again, this is a popular drag. Looks like it just cleared 133. And then you have 128, this red line that goes out through Gloucester and the rest of Cape Ann, and then backs up into I-95. Paula, Evan, you got another question?
Well, you were talking about how it's moving sort of east-northeast there, Todd. So once the Atlantic is involved, you know, we have seen in the past, you've always talked about how the wind off the ocean, that usually contributes to breaking up a supercell like this. Is it going to help that it's moving in that direction and it's going to begin to encounter those winds off the ocean?
That's an excellent question, because normally when we see these lines of thunderstorms approach from the west, you know, they start in New York State, they cross over the Berkshires, they gain a little spin, they start to get stronger as they move through Springfield and central Mass, and they weaken when they hit the cooler air from the Atlantic. That happens countless times over the summer. This is a completely different setup, a completely different atmospheric setup. The atmosphere is uniformly warm and moist from the Atlantic Ocean all the way back through New York State. We're all in the same boat here. It feels tropical. It's like a tropical island. So we've got a little spin in the atmosphere today. And when you get some of these storms, coupled with some sunshine to help lift the air up, these updrafts go up fast, these downdrafts go down fast, and when you get a little spin in the atmosphere like this, they can start to shift it like this. And then that's when the funnel comes out of the cloud. All right, we have Rob Macedo back on the phone from the Skywarn Spotter Network. Rob, what's going on up in Essex right now?
Okay, well, we have a few reports. Biggest concern at the moment is the flooding. We talked a little bit before. We had the spotter report of the rotation aloft, a brief funnel cloud formation, and then it kind of dissipated. That was just issued in the severe weather statement from the Weather Service. The biggest thing we've gotten in the last few minutes is some flooding issues in some of the typical spots, such as Russell Street in West Peabody. Don't have an exact depth on that yet, but there has been some typical urban flooding there. Report out in the Middlesex County cells of 1.5 inches of rain in 50 minutes in that area with the activity that's been moving through there. We also did get a report of a tree down in Haverhill, Mass, from our amateur radio spotters on River Street. So those are the latest reports that we have. No other reports as of yet, but we are continuing to monitor this situation very closely, both from a severe weather and flood perspective.
Rob, while I have you on the phone, before I let you go, again, you're down at the National Weather Service office in Taunton, so you're close to the meteorologists on staff right now that are monitoring this tornado warning. Any signs of weakening or strengthening, perhaps, with this particular cell right now that you know of?
Not that I know of. We've been so focused on gathering of the reports, and we haven't had a chance to really look at that aspect of it. I know that they did issue the severe weather statement continuing the warning, so they're still concerned about that aspect, and we've been very focused trying to give them the data from the ground that can help them with the radar information to give the information that they need to kind of see how this is going to progress as it moves through Essex County and offshore.
Masita, Skywarn Spotter Network, National Weather Service also helping us out there. Really appreciate it, Rob. Stay in touch with us when you get some of these reports.
All right, sounds good.
Okay, Rob, take care. Once again, tornado warning still in effect until 3:45 this afternoon, so another 25 minutes up here in Essex County, up on Cape Ann. The cell in particular is right here, moving through Ipswich, Essex, and Gloucester at this point. There's also a new special marine warning for this cell because very shortly it's going to be out over Ipswich Bay and then out into the open Atlantic. So, you know, people that are out there on their boats, out on their yachts, etc., sailboats, you need to be careful with this storm because, again, there's a possible tornado with it, and it's also capable of producing straight line wind damage along with the torrential rain and cloud to ground lightning. Once again, let's get you situated here. Right in here is what we call Castle Neck. Cranes Beach is right there in Castle Neck, okay? So it looks like torrential rain coming down in Castle Neck. This is part of Ipswich, Castle Neck. This is all swampy and marshy in here. Thankfully, there aren't many residences here, many homes here, because this really is a lot of swampland, okay? Once you get north and east of 133, which is right here, Route 133 runs from Essex on up through Ipswich and then down into Gloucester, it gets real swampy in here. But this is Castle Neck. You've got Annisquam Light over here, too. Annisquam River comes right down and through here. So this is going to pass right over the Annisquam River, right in here, all right? And it's moving through Essex Bay. This is Essex Bay right in here, and this is Castle Neck. So again, torrential rain right here, torrential downpours. Again, back in Peabody and Danvers, this cell was rotating enough that a trained spotter saw a funnel cloud trying to form. At this time, we don't know if it ever touched the ground, but there's still enough circulation on this storm where a tornado could form at any point. Paula Eben.
Todd, let's just show people what they might see. If we can put that back up, the video that we got into the newsroom, is that possible? We had this in from East Windsor, Connecticut, and talk about how quickly something like this can form. Todd, you know, you're driving along or you're outside and it just seems as though it's a thunderstorm. You get the torrential rain, and then all of a sudden, if you see a funnel cloud like that, that is very dangerous.
Yeah, that means business right there. That is clearly a funnel cloud. Clearly a funnel cloud coming out of the base of those clouds there, the base of the thunderstorm. Now, we can't see if it's touching the ground because it's on the horizon, but it does look like there's a funnel that's reaching down just below tree line there. And with all the reports of damage that came out of northern parts of Connecticut, the I-91 corridor, the Connecticut River Valley there that runs from between Hartford on up to Springfield, Mass., with all the reports of damage and debris on roadways, trees down, power lines down, there likely was, again, at least straight line wind damage. And when you see a funnel like this, there was probably damage from a tornado as well. There was,
not only should people really just get inside, get to the basement if they're in their home. If you're in your car, you really do want to get out of your car and get to a low-lying area right off to the side of the road?
Exactly. Cars are not exactly a safe place to be. You know, they're this confined area, and if you get a strong enough tornado,